The time has finally come, our first ever live-action series set outside the Skywalker saga. As a very brief primer, The Acolyte takes place about 100 years before Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, and roughly 100 years after the timeline of the High Republic Publishing Initiative. Having a series stand alone in time like this means that casual and diehard fans alike get to experience something new at the same time. The first episode, Lost Found, opens on a few sentences setting the stage. This fits into the original Star Wars feel of the pulpy serials, and also explains very clearly where the galaxy is at this time. I also want to point out here that it says that people are learning the Force in secret, and the word Sith doesn't come up at all. The story starts on a planet called OUTSIDE. May, played by Amanda Stenberg, finds Jedi Master Indara, played by Carrie-Ann Moss, hanging out with the locals. They all seem to know her pretty well. This is a better way for the Jedi to be, for sure, not putting themselves out of touch with the people they're supposed to be serving, and not just congregating in the capital. May switches into Kung Fu movie mode and demands that Indara attack her with all her strength. Indara says Jedi don't attack the unarmed. We get our first taste of this season's real mystery when May calls her out, saying Jedi absolutely do attack the unarmed. This implies a lot. We get an incredible fight scene. Indara and May fight hand to hand, Indara leaving her lightsaber on her belt. May escalates things with throwing knives, and is always lunging for Indara's lightsaber. Eventually, Indara has to break the saber out. We learn that the Jedi of this era don't pull their blade unless they intend to kill. This is something I'll be tracking for the rest of the series, to see when someone pulls their blade and what the real intention is behind it. I've wanted a scene exactly like this for so long, well before we got a taste of it in Ahsoka, and before I knew the Acolyte was even on the way. My dream scenario is Jackie Chan doing all the choreography for a future Star Wars project, and we get that classic style of his one last time. May shows she clearly knows how the Jedi operate. She forces Indara to either pursue her and finish the fight, or save the barkeep. Indara, being a noble Jedi, saves the civilian but leaves herself open, and she pays the price with her life. I had a feeling Carrie-Ann Moss wasn't going to be in the series for the long haul. Casting someone we know and recognize for a role like this is an excellent shortcut to not have to explain too much more about her. I do think we'll be seeing her again when we get into the flashbacks about what actually happened. We then cut to Trade Federation starship. Osha, also played by Amanda Stenberg, is working as a mechanic. For whatever reason, her job title is mechanic, which seems like an unnecessary detail, but we'll just push past that because it probably won't come up again. The Trade Federation isn't concerned with the lives of the living beings set to keep their ship going, and they only care about their profits. This ties perfectly into George Lucas's points on mega corporations and big money corrupting pretty much everything. Osha has an all-purpose little droid called Pip. It's her friend, but it's also a high-tech Swiss Army knife that can do just about anything. A plot device I'm positive will be used a lot as the series goes on. A Jedi Vector comes in. Osha recognizes it immediately. These are the current ship of choice for the High Republic era Jedi. I won't keep diving back into High Republic lore, but the weapons system in this ship needed lightsaber to be inserted for them to work. That ties into Indara not pulling her blade until she intended to deal a killing blow. We meet Yord Fandar, played by Charlie Barnett, who is a newly christened Jedi Knight. Right away we see that Yord is very concerned with his appearance and also doing things strictly by the book. These scenes are packed with excellent dialogue that gives us insights on the characters' pasts, the relationship between them, the story threads we'll be following, and the universe itself without ever feeling like clunky exposition. One thing we learn is that Osha was admitted at 8 years old. I guess this time the Jedi Order is a bit more lax. I like to think that the Jedi in this time, still in touch with the more common citizens of the galaxy, do things as a case-by-case basis more than following strict doctrine. We also get to spend some time with Vernestra Rwoh. Vernestra is a character High Republic readers will be familiar with, but since the publishing initiative is still going and there's a 100-year gap, prior knowledge is not needed at all. Rwoh is clearly someone to be respected and is calling a lot of shots. I'm guessing she's on the Jedi Council at this point. One thing I found disconcerting for the era, and Rwoh, is that she's trying to handle the murder of some Jedi, supposedly by a former Padawan, quietly due to political implications. And I'm now realizing that we haven't even talked about the red herring mystery from the trailers. We're supposed to think, for however briefly, that May and Osha are the same person, and Osha is the one doing the killing, a former Padawan who left the Order for reasons we don't know yet. When we first meet Osha, her peers are talking about her not being around the night before, which would be the night that Indara was murdered. The episode doesn't spend much time on this and reveals that the two are twins before too long. I appreciate the writers not having us spend a ton of time watching the Jedi chase a suspect we know isn't the killer. Even better, the writers give us story reasons as to why this isn't happening, so nothing feels like it's too convenient or lazy. After Osha's detained by the Jedi, she's locked up with some other prisoners. These other prisoners are plotting an escape, and she wants no part of it. She believes in the Jedi Order. Whatever her reasons for leaving, which she claims are her own, she holds no ill will toward the Order, her former peers, or her former master. She's left behind on a crashing ship and tries to use the Force to free herself. I was happy to see that she failed. If she succeeded, we just assume she kept up her abilities in the intervening 6 or so years since she left the Order. Now we know she hadn't been, and we also get to see that using the Force isn't the easiest thing. Osha has a dream, or likely a vision. I thought it was May reaching out through the Force, but not long after this, we learn that May is just as surprised to learn that Osha's alive as Osha was to learn that May is alive. Even Osha's former master, Master Soul, played by Jung-Jae, is shocked by the information. The vision has May at a much younger age. This has to be the way that Osha saw her sister last. There's talk of a fire that May supposedly started that killed the girl's whole family. I'm thinking this isn't exactly what happened. I think the girls were part of a coven led by a woman called Mother Anasea. Osha and May's last name is revealed to be Anasea, and May has the same circle or swirl marking on her forehead that Mother Anasea does in the trailers. Mother Anasea is the leader of a coven of witches who value their independence and culture that includes their power. At one point, Yord pulls his blade on Osha. I found this to be shocking since he's so by the book, and we just learned that a Jedi only pulls their blade when they mean to kill. And I didn't get the impression that he had any intention of going that far. Another thing I noticed was that he has a yellow blade. I wonder if the blade colors have the same meaning in this era. Soul tells his new Padawan, Jeki-Lon, played by Daphne Keane, and Yord about the fire and the death of May. Jeki starts to question if May could have survived, and Soul shoots her down before she can even finish the sentence. Pretty much one scene later, when Osha insists that May survived, Soul doesn't even question it. This shows how much Soul and Osha were connected. I also get some inklings that Soul is keeping Jeki at arm's reach. Not that he doesn't care for her or he won't be a good master to her, but that his relationship with Osha was special, and when she left it scarred him, so he's being hesitant on having a relationship like that again. The episode ends with a character we don't get a name on, a masked figure holding a red lightsaber. Their disguised voice has a cool speech. The parts I remember are something like, "The Jedi live in a dream they believe everyone shares. An Acolyte doesn't kill with a weapon, they kill the dream." I don't think that this is a Sith. I think this is a masked figure manipulating May and using a red lightsaber to signal Sith without actually being one. In this first episode, we got a ton of information. A lot of the information answered questions I thought would span the bulk of the season. That has me even more excited for things to come, since the very mystery of who's killing Jedi has switched to why are they killing these Jedi in just the first episode. We get to jump right into the second episode, Revenge, Justice. I'm wondering if all the episodes will have these two-word titles, the two words being opposites based on the character point of view. May is on the trail of another Jedi on her kill list, Jedi Master Torben, played by Dean Charles Chapman. He's floating while meditating, and I guess he's been doing this for many years. May tries her martial arts on him, but can't get through an invisible bubble he seems to be projecting around himself. This showed off Torben's power, but was also good for a laugh. May meets with Kimmer, played by Manny Jacinto, apologize for my pronunciation on all of these names, who seem to be a friend. Kimmer is well aware of May's task, kill list, and her master. He plays a bit goofy and aloof, which Jacinto is great at. Just watch The Good Place if you haven't. I think this is all an act. I think Kimmer is the masked red blade wielding stranger from the first episode. Kimmer reminds May that her master wants her to kill a Jedi without a weapon, but he helps her with a poison anyway. I think May is misunderstanding this part of her directive. When the masked figure says that you don't kill a Jedi with a weapon, you kill the dream, it doesn't mean to literally end one individual's life life without using a weapon. It means to topple the credibility around them, like Palpatine was when he convinces the galaxy the Jedi made a bid to control the government, and that's why he turned on them. When May returns to the temple where Torben is, she places the vial of poison on the floor. As she confronts him about whatever happened in the past, what seems to be the true mystery of the show, Torben comes out of his trance and willingly drinks the poison rather than owning up to what he did. The only thing we get out of him is that the Jedi involved thought they were doing the right thing. Sol, Jecki, Yord, and Osha arrive too late to stop May, but Yord does stand up for Osha when she's accused of killing him. Little tip to Osha, when you're accused of killing Jedi and you find the body of one, don't pick up the poison vial laying on the ground. The only scene in these 2 episodes I just flat out didn't care for was when the Jedi agreed to have Osha go undercover as May to talk to Kimmer. Yes, they look exactly the same, but this felt way too sitcom and they had no information to work off of. It does seem to work, but I think that's because Kimmer is the guy pulling the strings. He only gave them what he wanted them to have. When the real May confronts him about this apparent treachery, he shows a bit of his true self. There's a flash of threat from him. He turns it around and gives May the next name on her list, the location of Jedi Master Kelnaka, a Wookiee Jedi. Sol confronts May. We get another awesome martial arts scene. The big takeaways here, other than how cool it is that Sol takes all of May's daggers off her, he never pulls out his own blade, and May is even more frantic trying to get at his lightsaber than she was even in the fight with Indara. I wonder what the reason behind this is. Is she denied one by her own master? Is she jealous of the Jedi? Or is it as simple as killing one with their own blade would be a big insult to them? I'm starting to think that a lot of May's hatred for the Jedi is based in some form of jealousy. After the fight, there was a cool character moment. May's facing Sol and Yord. Yord reaches for his saber, and Sol extends a welcoming hand. May looks at both of them before running the other way. I loved seeing this differing approach. Sol is reminding me greatly of this generation's Qui-Gon Jinn, the pinnacle of a Jedi that follows their gut and the will of the Force more than the Jedi Order as an organization. Osha is the last one to see May flee. She has a stun gun and her shots go very wide. This was completely intentional. The episode closes on Kelnaka scaring off some poachers by force pulling a gun from their hands and breaking it in half with his own. Kelnaka is played by Jonas Sotamo, who is the new man in the suit for Chewbacca. Aside from the sitcom-level character switch, I loved these 2 episodes. I tried to temper my expectations going in, and again, tried to tamp down my excitement while writing this review. I didn't want to just be blindly excited about a new Star Wars series, but honestly, I had a great time with them. The story and characters are compelling, the writing is strong. I love how many aliens there are and how the people behind the show are embracing the weirdness in Star Wars. There's a lot to discover, a lot to learn, and the action is great. I would have liked to see a bit more action, but there's still 6 episodes to go, so we have plenty of time. The only other complaint I have, and I don't believe this has anything to do with the show itself, it's just the nature of the streaming era. Even in my home theater with everything pumped up for a cinematic experience, the sound was flat. I will say that I feel like the visuals, the sets, the locations, they all feel grand in scope. This feels like a movie. Now let's get into theories. Osha and May were learning a type of magic from Mother Anastasia. Not necessarily evil, but the magic would be devised from the Force, similar to what Night Sisters do. The Jedi don't like this. They don't like the idea of this coven wielding the Force in their own way, and they tried to interfere. I doubt they went in and tried to commit genocide on the coven, but maybe they tried to get the coven to convert to their way. The Star Wars databank does specify this coven likes its independence. It seems like an odd thing to mention if it's irrelevant to the only show that they appear in. In the ensuing struggle, a young Osha, not May, not fully in control of her powers, starts a fire that kills many. May is presumed dead, and Sol takes Osha under his wing since she's showing some natural aptitude in the Force. He wants to control it so that type of accident doesn't happen again. Kimmer finds May, abandoned, and convinces her that the Jedi are the ones to blame, so she works to his own ends when she thinks she's getting revenge for herself. Osha and May will likely work together alongside the Jedi. They won't join the ranks, but their names will be cleared. I wonder if they were a dyad in the Force, but decided probably not. If they had such a bond, they'd likely be able to sense that the other one was still alive. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for all of my Acolyte coverage. In between episodes, check back for more Star Wars lore from all over the franchise, like this video that you should watch next.